Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you're joining us. We are so happy to have you today. We are doing an admins webinar today about flow for admins. My name is Jillian Bruce. I'm an admin evangelist here at Salesforce. And today I am purely just playing MC/host because the stars of today's show are Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, who are two of our incredible community experts about all things automation, and especially when it comes to flow. You may be familiar with our forward-looking statement. If you've ever seen any Salesforce presentation in your entire life, we always have this beautiful slide that we talk about and you don't actually have to read, but it's just reminding you that if you are attending the webinar today, only make purchasing decisions based on currently available features and functionality. Won't be a problem, because what we're going to do today is actually show you a demo that you can follow along and build yourself. So we want to remind you that there are a lot of ways to connect with us. The first question we get on every single webinar is this being recorded? The answer is yes, it is. It is absolutely being recorded. And the recording will be available very shortly after the webinar on all the places. It'll be available on our YouTube page. We'll post it to Success. It'll also be available via the registration page that you use to sign up for this webinar. So if you missed it or you want to view this again and maybe try and follow along the demo and build something similar yourself, please do that. And yes, this webinar is being recorded. Also connect with us. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. You can find us. Now, questions for today's webinar. We are hosting all of the questions for today's webinar in our Success community group called Salesforce Admins Webinars. You can get there using this bit.ly admin webinar group. Capital letters do matter in bit.lys, so make sure you use those cap A, cap W, cap G, and ask your questions in there. We've got experts standing by to help answer them. If we don't get to them during the actual webinar, please don't worry, because we're going to be continuing to answer those questions for the next few days until they are all answered. So let's get going. What we're going to do today is really have a very demo-heavy webinar, which is really exciting. We're going to talk a little bit about what flow is, why we should care about it as admins, and then Mark and Brian are actually going to take us through an incredible demo of how to build a flow and then how to distribute it to our users. Then we're going to have a little bit of resources at the end, and again, if you have questions, please ask them in our webinar group. So, what is flow? Flow is amazing. Flow is an incredible automation tool. So if you've ever used Process Builder, Flow is actually the engine making Process Builder work. Flow itself is a way that you can do way more with automation as an admin using point-and-click development than what you'd usually have to hire a developer to do with code. So Flow is a really powerful tool, and our goal here today is to really help us as admins understand how we can use visual flow. Now, there is a type of flow called headless flow, but what we're going to focus on today is this visual screen flow. It's a way that we can display visual screens to our users to gather information and then use that to automatically update records in our org. So think of like a form, right? We're automating the population of a form. So this is what the flow designer looks like, and we're going to see this in the demo as soon as we get going with Mark and Brian here in just a minute. And this is what this looks like. We've got a button bar at the top. This is giving you just a little orientation. Then we're going to have a palette and resources and explorer here on the left-hand side. And in the center, we've got canvas. The canvas. This is where we're going to be actually building our flow. So super quick intro. Let's actually talk about why we care about flow. So the use case we're going to talk about today is case management. And, you know, I think in order to talk about this, I want to go ahead and throw this to our amazing flow experts here, Mark and Brian. Take it away, guys.
Thanks, Jillian. Thank you very much. So, you know, I work for an organization where I get tons of new requests for Salesforce, including, you know, for new users and new features. And it's really disorganized. People can send it to me in Post-it notes, phone messages, emails, you know, strange messages on my wall. And I waste a lot of time following up with everyone to try to get the required information I need to be able to handle these. And what I really need to figure out is a way to log these requests and gather the information I need from the requester right up front. And I just don't know how to do it, Mark.
Well, you know, Brian, we actually have a solution for that. It's called
we
Flow.
do. What is it?
It's called Flow.
That's fantastic.
Tool. Yes, it's wonderful. It's amazing, and it's going to be exactly what you need to solve your use case here today. Let's go ahead and head over to the Salesforce setup menu. Well, let's pass over to Brian for the screen share.
Excellent. Okay, so I'm on my setup menu, Mark. What do I do?
All right, so either in the quick find in the top left or down in the menus under process automation, you can find flows. Second one down right there. That's it. And this will take you to the list of flows that you have in your org. Great, fantastic. But we want to create a brand new one. If you'll look right in the middle there, we have a bright, shiny new flow button. It's begging you to press it. Go ahead and click on that, would you? And then this is going to open up a new flow in our flow designer. On the left, you can see we have the actual tools we can use, and on the right is the big blank canvas that we're going to put everything on. So what are we going to do? Flow is kind of like a diagram, except it does stuff. So we need to actually put things on here that do things. First, we need to know who's putting in the request. I mean, it's possible that whoever's entering this is not the same person, so we need to ask for that information. Luckily, this is a drag and drop interface. On the left, you see the screen. Yeah, go ahead and click and drag screen over into the canvas. Beautiful.
Okay.
Drop. All right. This is going to ask us for screen information. Let's go ahead and name it. And if you click on Add a Field, now we have a whole bunch of options that will let us actually populate different types of requests for data. The first thing we need is just the email of the requester. That should be relatively unique, right? So click and drag text box over because that's just plain text. And you can see now we have a blank. Click on text box there on the right side, and it's going to ask you for information about that. Let's call this requester's email. There you go. Fantastic. We want to require this. This is important. We have a required checkbox. We click that, and they won't be able to proceed without that. All right. So the next thing we need to know is what type of request this is. So we go back to add a field. And there are only specific types. We don't want to let them type anything in that they want. So we need to actually give them an option. We want a drop-down list. It's just like a pick list. Drag and drop, exactly. It's just like a pick list, except we get to put in our own values. So let's call this request type, because that's what we want from them. And then in the middle there, under choice settings, this is where we get to put what the values are going to be in that drop-down. Now we need to actually create those, so let's do create new choice. Fantastic. We're going to make this one a new user request. Make sure we put that in. It is text, and make sure you put in new user as a stored value. We'll explain why later on. Click on OK. And now we need a second choice, so click Add Choice, and then again, create new choice. This is feature request. These are the two types of requests that the business could possibly give you, right, Brian? Nothing else?
Right.
Nothing out of the ordinary?
Nothing else. No,
Okay.
just new users feature requests.
All right. So this is not bad, but Brian, this is not great user experience right here. All we're doing is just asking for a couple of things.
Can we somehow maybe provide some directions so people know what to do?
You know, actually, we can do that. On the bottom of your options, you have display text, and that will just let you put text somewhere in the screen. Go ahead and click and drag that. Yep, we can put it up at the top. That's fine. And then you got to name it something unique, something really unique, Brian. That's not terribly unique. That's fine. We'll move on. And now go ahead and paste in. There we go. Thank you for using the Salesforce request system. How friendly is that? I love it. All right, click on OK. And
okay, so I got one screen.
One screen,
but
yes.
But you know, I use cases, Mark, to be able to track all my requests that come in, and I'd like to be able to associate the contacts that represent the employees at my company. And how do I do this with Flow? I don't ask them, hey, what's your contact ID?
Right. So we need to go get that ID, get that information based on the email that we've put in. On the left side, you have a bunch of options under data, and one of them is record lookup. This will let us go and grab one record and information about it. So we'll call this lookup contact.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then lookup, we're looking up contact. We're looking for a contact record. And now you're going to get what is very similar to what you do in list views or reports, where you have to filter the data that's in contacts in order to find what you're looking for. So this is the email address. So we select that. And what we did was we made an input field. It was a text field, right? We get to select that field. Whatever they put in that field will then be the criteria that we use to find the contact. Awesome. That should find only one contact. So now we actually need to get the information. What do we need? We need the contact ID, right? So let's start with that. Here's the field we want, ID.
Okay.
Great, fantastic. Now here's the thing. Flow does one thing that's really awesome. That's essentially what's called variables. It's a little place where you can store little pieces of data. We need to store this ID so we can use it later. So we're going to make a new variable. And we'll call it something unique, something you'll recognize, var contact ID, something descriptive. I love it. It's good. All right, that's fine. And then there we go. That's what that's going to store. We also need the account ID, right? Because this is a contact going on a case.
Right.
So we'll grab that. Var account ID. One last thing, down at the bottom you see assign null values. Go ahead and check that. We like to go ahead and check that because if for whatever reason it doesn't find it, it won't bomb out with a completely unrecognizable error. It does also have the option to do error messaging within Flow. We're not going to cover that today, but that is a thing that the null values will allow us to do. So go ahead and click on OK. All right.
Two boxes, now what?
All right, so we have the two boxes, but we need to relate them to each other. And which one are we going to do first? The screen, right? So if you would, we need to associate that. Click on the little triangle down at the bottom that's a little hanging down there. That's fantastic. Ooh, click and drag, and you can see there's an arrow. And drop that arrow. Bam. So now we know that we're going to go from the screen to the lookup contact. But here's the thing. I could make all kinds of boxes. I could make all kinds of lines and arrows on this. Technically, Salesforce might not know, and the flow might not know which should come first. So we have to define that. If you would, on the screen, hover over that. Mouse over the, yeah. See that little pretty little green circle there? Click on that, please. That designates that this is the start element. No matter what, the flow is going to start here. All right. So. Okay. Now we've got the information about the contact, but the thing is, you've got two different types of entries here, Brian. Are they the same?
Right. No, they're going to give us completely different information than if it's a new user versus just a feature request.
Right. So we need to gather totally different questions. So what we need to do is allow the flow to make a decision on which way it should go. And it just so happens that on the left side, wouldn't you know, there's a little element called decision. Go ahead and click and drag that if you would, please. Fantastic. All right, we'll call this request type. Sure, why not? Unique value, Brian. Oh, so unique. All right, wonderful. And we need to give this what the possible outcomes are going to be, one of which is new user request. So let's go ahead and put that in. And then how are we determining what that is? Well, we're going to be looking at the actual field that was put in, the request type field. Remember that we asked for on the screen? We're going to check that value, whatever was entered, set to equals, and then we're going to look for the choice, because remember we made two choices in that field. So click on, if you would, no, there we go, choices. It's the new user choice. That's what we're going to be looking for. It's what we're going to be evaluating. Now, out of all those outcomes, we could add 3, 4, 5. We could keep going and make a whole bunch of different possibilities. We've only got 2 here. So if new user doesn't get selected, well, it's going to just go to the default outcome. That's fine. We'll go ahead and name that feature request. Essentially, if it's not new user, we assume it's going to be a new feature request. And that's it. We now have the ability to fork our logic, Brian.
That's fantastic.
I know. So now we need to actually get the information. We need to present more screens to the. Oh, I'm sorry. First, let's draw an arrow. Let's draw an arrow.
Gotta connect them.
Gotta connect them. Gotta connect them all. All right. Let's make another screen. This one we're going to gather feature request information. This is mostly going to be a series of fields, and of course, all of it's going to be required because that's what the business wants. This is business process requirements here. We're going to do executive sponsor. Just a text field. We don't need anything else. We also need a feature description. Nope. Descriptions are long, Brian. We need long text. Long text.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, this will be feature description. Again, we won't require it. And then one more, because your business, if I'm not incorrect, Brian, I believe your business requires that all company goals and objectives, or at least one company goal and objective must be met. So
right,
when we give them the option,
it has to support the objective.
Right. So why don't we give them the option? Let's do, bear with me, I'm sorry, I apologize for my sin, but let's do a multi-select checkbox. on here. This will allow them to select which of all of the possible goals and objectives we want to make sure they're adhering to. We'll go ahead and require it. We went ahead and made these choices ahead of time because, frankly, there's a lot of them. None is a valid choice if they really want to be very daring about it. Improved reporting, yep, that's important for a business. Improved transparency, of course, very important as well. We also need to reduce our overhead by 50%, very important. And last but not least, increase our viscosity. You must have increased viscosity in your business engine. Go ahead and click on OK. No.
Mark, we should really provide some more directions here. People might get confused by a whole bunch of check boxes.
It's good user experience, Brian. It's good user experience. Let's name it something unique. That's unique enough. I was really hoping for something more unique, but okay. You're not exactly a think outside the box kind of guy, are you, Brian?
Hey, simple is better sometimes, Mark.
This is true. All right, click on OK.
All right.
All right, let's go ahead and drag from our decision box all the way down, and it's going to ask us now which of the two outcomes this is. Well, this is the feature request, so go ahead and select that. Click on OK. Boom! There we go. It's an arrow, and it even has nice little text explaining exactly which arrow you're going down. Fantastic. All right, we need another screen.
Other screen.
Another screen. All right, this one is for the new user details. Again, this is going to be a whole bunch of fields, so bear with us. You need the name of the person, of course, that is being created. Need their title. Again, that's text. We need their email. Hopefully that's been provisioned by IT. We need the department that this belongs to. And there's only certain departments, so let's give a couple of options. Here we go. Marketing, sales. There we go. Very, very standard. Make sure you name it. Need to know who the manager is of this particular person. And then go ahead.
Yeah, we're an international company, Mark, so
exactly.
It's important for me to know what the time zone is.
Exactly. Wizardcast is all over the world. We are everywhere you want to be. All right, click on OK. And let's draw the line. It even selects which one for you because there was only one option left. So there you go. It tells you it's a new user request right off the bat. Fantastic. All right, so now what we need to do is actually create the cases, the records. There's one more thing we have to do, though. Isn't that right, Brian? Where is all this information?
I want to put all this information in the description field, because it doesn't make sense for me to create new fields on my cases for each field that's in my screen here. I just want to kind of put all the data together and make it nice and presentable in the description field of the case.
Right, and normally we just feed in a variable, but we're talking about a lot of potential data here. That doesn't really fit very well in a single variable. We need something that's going to hold a lot more. Go on up to the top left, Brian, in the Resources tab, you can see there's something called Text Template, and basically that's another word for a text block. It's going to let us put in a whole bunch of data, a whole bunch of things all at once, and then we'll be able to call that from one place. So here's our new feature description. I see you've got it. Oh, you're ready to go. Got to copy paste it in. Fantastic. Oh, hey, right. Oh, hang on, Brian. You didn't put in company goals and objectives. Oh. You're missing it. Go ahead and type that in here. And actually, this brings up a good opportunity. In this select resource here, we can actually choose something we've already created, like our company goals and objectives field. Select it here. And that, boom, populates it down there just like a merge field. That will merge the data of whatever they have selected, the user has selected, it will put it here in this text template. That looks fantastic. Click on OK. We need to do one more. We need to do it for the new user as well. Again, name it something unique, and then you've got it already pre-written. Wonderful.
Great.
All right.
Are we done yet?
No, we're not done. We have to actually make the cases, Brian.
That's right.
So here we go, onto the data. Just like we had record lookup, this one is going to be record create, because we're going to create a new case. We'll name it create case. Okay, fantastic originality, Brian. We're going to create, it's a case object. Fantastic. And what do we need? We need the account. We need the contact. We need the description and the subject. These are all important things to have on a case. So the account, we got that information earlier, didn't we? We asked for the contact email address, and we're able to look up the account and the contact ID based off that, store it in the variables, and boom, we can actually create the case with that information going into those fields. For the description, we asked for all that information in the text template. So we just need to put in the text template, and there you go. And then the subject is, well, we just want it to be whatever the type was they put. So we actually put the type field. Remember how I said we have to put in a stored value? That stored value is the text that will go into this. It's the text that will be surfaced when you actually render this flow. There we go. That looks great. Let's click OK and draw the line.
So I have to do another one of these for my new users, Mark. I'm really lazy. I mean, everything in that case is going to be almost identical. Do I really have to create a brand new one?
Well, the good news is, Brian, that there's a much easier way of doing it. Go ahead and click on that Create Case, if you would. And then up in the top bar, you can see there's a series of buttons, and that one, yes, that one right there, Copy. Click on the Copy button, and then next to it is a Paste button. Click on that. Fantastic. It has made a copy of the element, that Create Case element. Go ahead and open it up, because we do need to make one slight change. We're going to change the text template out here. So that's the new user description. But apart from that, it's the same. Fantastic. Click on OK. Draw the line. Awesome.
Okay. So now the cases get created. How are we going to tell the user that they actually submitted something?
Well, the thing is, we can actually tell them. We have screens because it's Flow and it's awesome. Go ahead and drag one more screen down to the bottom of our flow here. And we're just going to give them a success message. That's all we're going to do. Success screen, add a field, more display text, because that's all we're doing. Going to name it something unique. And then, thank you for your request. It has been submitted successfully. Have a nice day. No, it's fine. No, wait, just click OK. Just click, no, OK. All right. You're so literal. Click on OK. Let's drag. Now, even though it's only one element, we can connect multiple arrows to it. There we go. So either way, whichever record created goes down, it's still going to come to the same success screen. I think we're done, Brian. This looks like a good, solid flow right here. So why don't we save this puppy?
Okay, and now we're ready to use it.
No, we're not, actually. We have another step. Please go on the top bar. You've got the close button. We click the close button. Okay. This takes us to the screen for this flow. Shows information about it. And you can see we've got different versions of this flow, but you can see that the activate link is there because it hasn't been activated. Go ahead and click on that. As you can see, now it says deactivate because that is the active version of the flow. It actually says on the right side as well, status active. Now we have an active working flow.
Great.
But how are people going to get to it, Brian? How are people going to get to it? You know, it's a good thing we have Lightning, Brian, because Lightning actually offers a way for us to do this.
Okay, fine. How about the homepage?
Yes, homepage. That's a nice centralized place to do this. All right. So here's our lovely little homepage. I see you've got a very lofty goal. Fantastic. But we need to edit this page. If you would, please go up to the gear and click on Edit Page. This will let us change the page, of course. On the left side in our list of Lightning components, there's one that says Flow Beta. And by the way, in Summer 17, forward-looking statement, this is going to be a GA. It's no longer going to be beta. So we get to select what flow goes here. One column or two columns? Let's just leave it at one column. We wrote very few questions. That's fine. Click on Save. Changes are saved. Looks good. Click Back. Bada bing, bada boom, bada flow.
This is fantastic. So I have some Post-it notes here. So let me go ahead and put those requests in right now.
Okay. All right. Let's do it. This is I recognize that. That's Chris Bruce, right?
Yeah, Chris Bruce. And I believe they're going to ask for a new feature request here.
Right.
Yep.
Executive sponsor. Well, yes, he would be the executive sponsor. What does she want? She wants to submit new feature requests in Flow. Hey, that's what we're doing. What do you know? It's like she can see the future.
I know, isn't that convenient? And I think it hits multiple of these objectives. Definitely
Obviously.
improves viscosity.
Oh, obviously.
Hey, it's
There
success.
we
That's
go.
fantastic. That's great.
All right.
All right, let me go put in the next one too.
Oh, good. We have another. Okay. This is. Oh, okay. Yes, I recognize this email address. That's Jillian Landy. Yes.
Yep. New user, and I believe it's for you, Mark.
What? When
Yeah,
did
you're joining the company.
I'm joining. That's the first I've heard of it. Does my current boss know?
I don't know. Do you want to be marketing or sales? Your choice.
Oh, just pick for me. I'm not gonna look.
All right.
Wait, you're my manager?
Yes. Yeah. You didn't get the memo?
Okay. I'm now thinking really hard about all those semi-insults I threw at you earlier. Okay, let's go take a look.
Let's see if it's there. So here's Chris's contact. Hey, there's our case.
There's the case.
Oh, that's fantastic. Look, all our information so nice and pretty in the description.
It's lovely.
I'm
And over at
excited to
Jillian-
see new users there. And
There it is.
Julian has a case.
Whoop, there it is.
That's fantastic. This is amazing, Mark. This is going to save me so much time and frustration.
And that's what Flow does. It allows people to actually create things that you would normally need Visual Force or Apex for. We don't need any of that. We can just make an interface for people to use, or we don't even need an interface. We can actually just do all of this automation, all the looking up, creating, decision logic forking, all of that we want to do. We don't need to do any coding for it. It will just work. And there you go. That's Flow.
That
Back to you,
was
Jillian.
amazing. Thank you guys so much. That was awesome. I love being able to see how easily you can actually create a flow and put it on a Lightning page. So just a real quick kind of softball question I'm going to bring up. A couple of people asked in the Success community about, does Flow work in Classic? Does it work in Lightning? And the answer is Flow works both in Classic and Lightning. You can actually access Flow in your Classic setup menu. You can use I use the quick find box and I type in Flow, and you'll see under Build, or you can build a flow there. Also, I want to remind everyone that the cool thing, the reason we're doing this today is that with Lightning, you can now display those visual workflow, display those screens to your users without having to use Visual Force, without having to really kind of jump some significant hurdles that before were kind of challenging for them. So with Lightning, you can embed those screens, that flow screens, on a home page, on a record page. You can even put them in a utility bar if you're using a console app, which is really, really exciting. And that's one of the things that I think is really important to think about as admins, is because Lightning really does enable us to do a whole other level of customization that we've never been able to do before. So before I let everybody go, I want to remind you that we do have a ton of additional resources to help you on your journey to learn Flow. There's about 3 different Flow projects already on Trailhead. There's also a process automation badge on Trailhead. Super forward-looking statement, safe harbor. There will be more in a few months. There's also a really, really amazing active community on the Success community. There's a group called the Automation Hour with amazing Flow experts. In fact, Rakesh is already on this thread in our webinar group helping answer questions, which is amazing. And go Rakesh. And we have some amazing resources from Mark and Brian themselves. They do an incredible podcast called The Wizard Cast, where they talk about really great Salesforce admin things and a lot of stuff about automation, because they're both Flownatics. And the Wizard News has some great blogs and articles there that Brian has written about automation and all kinds of fun Salesforce things. So thank you everyone so much for joining us today. We want to remind you to please keep asking your questions in the admin webinar group. We are answering them, and we will continue to answer them until they stop coming in. And please take that survey. We're going to send you a survey at the end of this webinar. We want to hear your feedback. We want to know if you want more of these, if you want less of them, what you liked. Of course, sure you liked everything. Make sure that you can go back and visit this recording, because you can really follow along as Mark and Brian walk you through that demo and build something similar yourself. So use it as a tool, use it as a resource, and share it around. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you so much, Mark and Brian, for sharing your Flow mastery with the greater community here. And we look forward to seeing you again on another webinar. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Bye. Toodaloo.
Bye.
Au revoir.
Thank you for joining.
Auf Wiedersehen. Ciao.